Olá pessoal, tudo bem? Vocês que estão acostumados a me ver às quartas-feiras no Análise Aftermarket Automotivo, hoje nós estamos fazendo um programa diferente, diretamente de Frankfurt, na Automechanika, a maior feira de autopeças do mundo. E hoje nós temos o prazer de entrevistar Philippe Colpron, que é o principal executivo da ZF para o mercado de reposição. Philippe, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you.
Obrigado.
And I would like to start for you to tell to our people about your history. How do you eventually became an aftermarket executive?
Yeah, it's, I think, the coincidences of lives. I'm actually from South America. I was born in Peru.
Okay.
Then I left very young to Canada, where I grew up, and through an accident traveling in Paris, I actually ended up working in the automotive industry.
I see.
At the beginning, more in the supply chain, purchasing the projects. I remember starting to work on the first hybrid vehicles also at the beginning of the year 2000s, until I moved to WAPCO to lead the purchasing department. And at a point in time, somebody said, hey, can you please take over the marketing function for the aftermarket? I thought it was probably a joke. But I went that, I would say, with my supply chain experience, jumped to global marketing of the aftermarket. It's been really fast to lead the aftermarket now since close to 12 years. First WAPCO and now ZF since the acquisition of WAPCO. Very happy. I think it's a very entrepreneurial business, globally connected with a lot of local specificities. So I guess I find myself into this kind of activities.
Good to hear. And this will lead me to the another point is you came from WABCO that was acquired by ZF. And WABCO is much more devoted to the heavy-duty business. And then on ZF, you have to manage everything. And how do you see the difference? How do you compare the heavy-duty environment in terms of aftermarket with the passenger cars? And also, how do you evaluate this based on your experience and all your new experience managing this globally?
I think there's two layers. There's WABCO in ZF, and then there's commercial vehicle versus light vehicle. When we were focused on the commercial vehicle, of course, much smaller, we had big ambitions, but we knew we had to select niches because of the volume. So we were highly focused on technical support, on fleet attention, because this is how we were creating differentiation. Joining ZF, we realized that there's a power of the scale. It's much more powerful, and therefore, we need to have different level of ambitions. Clearly, we recognize by being one of the leaders in the industry, we also have a responsibility of excellence. Now, commercial vehicle versus passenger car, it's interesting because there's a lot of similarities, but there's also important differences. So the value chain of distributors, workshops, installers, and users is the same. Therefore, what you need to push the product in terms of logistics, category management, the transition towards e-commerce, and all of that can be similar, but the pull, I would say, the end users and their needs have differences. Commercial vehicle much more driven by professional fleets that are maybe in advance in understanding how uptime, total cost of ownership is important during their activities. So the size and the volumes of light vehicle can help a lot the commercial vehicle in terms of what I would say what we do on the push, logistics, category management, product creation. But the way that we know in the commercial vehicle how to manage end users, fleets, technical support can also help to accelerate a lot some of the changes we see in the light vehicle sector.
Good. So it seems like a perfect blend.
Yes, exactly.
Between the dynamism of the passenger cars and also the professionalism of the heavy duty. And we are on to 2022. We passed through coronavirus, etc., all the changes and all the challenges that our market faced. And from your perspective, what is the future of the aftermarket? I know this is a tough question, but I'd like to hear from you. How do you see the future of the aftermarket?
Well, we need to understand the the growing need for uptime. The more the vehicle will be autonomous, the more mobility will be shared, the more it will be important to professionalize and to minimize the waste in uptime management. This uptime management does not happen only by looking into trading parts at the distributor. We need to think of the ecosystem of solution. The future of the vehicle will be more connected. There will be an increasing amount of software that will create opportunities to reduce, I would say, the inefficiencies of the industry, but will also create opportunities for people to create new business models, upgrading the car through software, for example. So, what is particular though in the aftermarket is it's this local realities. It's a global business with a lot of similarities, but also the changes will happen differently in different parts of the world, and therefore it's going to can be very long, but some things will happen very fast because you want to make sure the habits of tomorrow are integrated on your solutions of today. So it will be very difficult for companies to make sure that we continue sustaining the business of today. We have a lot of products, we have a lot of services, we have a lot of jobs in the market that we want to make sure we protect, we secure for the next 20 years of managing the vehicles of today. But from the day one of the new technologies, from the day one of electrification, of autonomous, we need to think what will be the independent aftermarket. If not, the habits of the vehicle owners will change and it could create risks. We need to be aware of those risks, to be proactive and make them into opportunities.
Very good, very good. And to conclude our history here, you recently visited Brazil.
Yes.
And it was your first time in Brazil?
Not at all. It had been a couple of years though, so.
And how do you compare this, your first visit to this visit? I know you are in a different position to see the things, but do you see any improvement, or how do you see the market in Brazil compare your previous visits to the last visit?
Well, actually, I think I've been following the evolution for Brazil, because even when I'm not feet on the ground, I have a lot of interactions, with the team. So I could say there's a lot of things which continue being the same in terms of the way the repairs are happening. On the other hand, there's clearly evolutions in the distribution landscape. Clearly, you saw the scaling of many of the companies. And there's a lot of pockets of nice things. So I think the local team actually at ZF is very creative in bringing new digital solutions to help the service to the market, growing the digital ecosystem for solutions. Topics like Amigo Empresa, and the way that we bring digital tools to the mechanics, to even if they still have very traditional ways to manage the repairs, at least the office has a better digital interactions with their customers, having a better tracking of also activities that are performed on the vehicles. So you see, a fast acceleration of that digital network, of the technical information which is better shared, clearly a professionalization in the distribution, but it still needs to glue together, and I'm very confident that at a point in time the market will realize that it went through a natural evolution that just brings benefits to the mobility of the country.
Very good, very good. And from my side, it's okay. I have my questions and my answers. We'd like to share a message with the people on the other side of the screen. I mean, the people from the distributors, the people from the parts resellers, the repair shops. What would be your message if you were able to knock the door of every customer? What would be your message to them?
Well, ZF wants to be a partner of the aftermarket industry. We believe in the togetherness. It is important to continue being successful for today, but being aware that we need people that help the industry of also being ready for tomorrow. ZF has gone through a lot of acquisitions in the past, through Zax, Lemferder, TRW, now Wabico. I think that the market often sees isolated products. And by being here, I hope you saw how exciting it is to see bumper to bumper the amount of solution that ZF have, after all of those acquisitions, that the ecosystem of solutions beyond the products with our academy, with our service points, Protec, and even the PESA, can provide value beyond the individual products and grow the consciousness that there's a difference in quality between our original part and sometimes well-known brands in Brazil that have lasted for a long time, but which, let's say it's not always original. And I think there's still this awareness about the difference in quality of consequences that we will continue to educate the market about. The more you will start having electronics, the more it will be important to think of topics like cybersecurity. And therefore we want to make sure that we keep that level of product excellence while, of course, adapting to the competitiveness that the local market needs. And hopefully be a partner to all of the players of the industry to grow into successful businesses today and tomorrow.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much, Philippe. It was my pleasure to have this talk with you. E é isso, a gente conversou aqui com Philippe Colpron, que é o principal executivo de Aftermarket da ZF. Eu sou Marcelo Gabriel, Head do Afterlab, e esse é o Análise Aftermarket Automotivo.